A new study has found toddlers could be missing out on hearing more than 1,000 words a day because of screen time. The research has come from WA's Telethon Kids Institute, which used Fitbit-like devices to measure the audio heard by 220 Australian families over more than 2 years. They found that by age 3, toddlers could miss out on hearing 1,100 words and have 840 fewer chances to speak because they were absorbed in screens. Now, Dr. Joanne Orlando is a digital literacy expert, and she joins us now in the studio to go through all of this. So firstly, Dr. Orlando, your reaction to this study?
I'm not surprised. We know that children are using technology at a very young age, and we know there's in the home, there's the children using it and the parents using it. So our homes are very much kind of techno homes. So while there's a lot of good that happens if they're using the right kind of content on a device, there's also things that are going by the wayside as a result.
Yeah, I suppose not surprising, but still pretty confronting.
Yes.
And a lot of data there, but and as we know, a lot of time went into it. To break it down, though, into a scenario that we all know and see, mum or dad at a cafe, for example, and child on a screen, is that the crux of it, like the conversation or even just the awareness of what's going on around them that they could have otherwise had if they weren't on the screen?
Yeah, it's actually both. Yeah. So there's the language side of it and the social side of it. So if we're in a cafe, everyone's having brekkie, you know, parents want a little bit of quiet time, a little bit of time to talk to each other. We can often give a device to their child, so it might be their own mobile phone or it might be an iPad or something that they've brought along. So that means they're not talking to the child so much, unless it's kind of instructional, you know, let me fix this up for you, that kind of thing. But there's not a lot of conversation or just chat, you know, how's your eggs, that kind of thing. That's not going on. In addition to the language part, there's a social side, so we kind of forget that children have to learn how to be in different social settings. So how they are at home is different to how they need to act in a supermarket, is different to how they need to act in a cafe. So if we're constantly kind of giving, if we're at a cafe and we always give a device to a child, then they're not really going to learn how to act in a cafe very well. And then when they start mucking up again, you know, next time you go to a cafe, we give them a device again. So it's this kind of catch-22 never-ending scenario where they're never really going to learn properly, or it's going to take a long time for them to learn those kind of social skills of being in that kind of setting.
Now, the study, and you pointed to this a moment ago, didn't differentiate between that higher or lower quality screen time. So I mean, does that matter? There would be more nuance there, I would imagine.
Yeah, so not all screen time is made the same. We know when we go on ourselves, some things you do on your screen are great, other things are not so great, so bad quality. So we tend to always think about children's time on a screen. But I think equally important, if not even more important, is what they're actually doing on there. So they might be on the screen for an hour. They could be just watching like really low quality, like video after video, or they could be playing a game where they're problem solving or making some kind of artwork or something like that. That's much better quality for them to do on a screen.
Now, you picked up on something with this study, that is that the parents' screen time wasn't examined. Why is that a flag for you there?
Oh, absolutely. So we always tend to think of all the things that children shouldn't be doing on the screen, but in a home environment and the kinds of language and social settings that are being kind of interrupted by screen time, it's not only the child on there, but it's the parent on there. So we could be saying, you know, kids need to get off their screen, but we as well, as parents, I'm a parent too, we also need to be very aware of the kinds of ways that we're using a screen at home. So you might be working all the time, there might be those imperatives, but we still need to be aware of how much we've got a screen in front of us, because if we're on there, we're also not talking to a child or interacting with them as much either.